Hello, everyone. Good evening. And thank you so much for following me on Gwen. And tonight I have a special guest. It's been about 2 weeks. I haven't really done any interview or interview anybody because I've been sick and a little bit busy with the kids. So today I finally got to connect with Ewa and have her on here. And the thing is that we're supposed to be on this about half an hour ago, but we've been having all these things that comes into our life, which is, this is to show how our business is so flexible that we can postpone certain things that's already planned and it still run on its own. So let me have her properly introduce her, my special guest who I met in my business. And little do we know, we have this little family of ours and we're so busy with them. We're just talking about how we're supposed to text each other and then we just didn't send the message through because we get interrupted by our kids and it just stays in the chat and we just realize, wait, I didn't send you a message for our meeting. But hi, thank you so much for coming on here. And if you can have a little introduction of, who you are, where you're from, and don't let anyone know about why you started this business yet. Just who you are, where you're from, your family, how many kids you have, and how long you've been married. And yeah, something like that.
Okay, so hello, thank you for having me. I'm Ewa Szczerba, and I'm originally from Poland. I immigrated here about 28 years ago or so. So it's been a while. I spent more time of my life here than in my homeland. It's my, second home. And I would say that, probably right now it's my first one that I got used to, the culture and the place that when I go back, I feel like I'm going back on a vacation when I go and visit, Poland at this point now. So I came here when I was a little over 18 or 19. So I had to finish school in here. So I didn't finish all the way high school. So I have to go in here and finish my high school for 2 years because my problem was the language that I didn't have from Europe. So I basically came with no communication skills, so life, kind of took its own, turn, and I got married and I have 4 beautiful kids. And my oldest one is almost 15. He's in freshman high school. My second child is 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and 5-year-old. So I have a boy, girl, and boy. So I'm even and I'm done.
Okay. You're even and you're done. I love that. That's the reason why everyone kept asking me, you should have another kid. You have 2 boys, you need to have a girl. It's not. And like I said, what if that's not mean I'm even? We have to have another kid to be even.
Yeah, right. I know a family that was trying for a boy and they ended up with 5 girls and they said, this is it, we're not trying anymore. So
yeah, the percentage is very high. So you said you came to America when you were 18 and you didn't speak English, you said, or?
I didn't.
You didn't, but now your English it's so great. I mean, like, there's no accent.
Oh no, I'm sure there is one. It's better. Well, back in Europe, when you go to school, and especially to like high school, you have to pick 3 different languages besides Polish. So I had Russian because it was required of us, and then because we were under Russian influence. Then I had French and I had German. So I love German. I didn't really care about French, so I don't remember anything. And then English was never on my radar because I couldn't pronounce anything. It was so hard for me. I'm like, how can you guys talk with a plum in your mouth and like, it was just impossible for me.
I totally understand exactly what you're saying, because Vietnamese language is different too. And in Vietnamese, our words always end with a vowel, so it's more rounded.
Right.
And then English has it that you know what I mean, right?
Exactly that, yeah.
So we always have really pretty heavy accents. So when you came to the US, how was your life? I mean, being 18, you're already grown enough to understand life and to be able to differentiate between your life back in Poland and here. How did you adapt and be able to live in a new country?
I think it's hard for everybody, especially for people they cannot communicate, because you're old enough to have an educated conversation, but that lack of language, that skill of communication, it was just, it was on the way. And I always felt like people think that I'm kind of not there, like because I couldn't verbally express myself. And it was just kind of all like, oh my God, I can't. It was just frustrating at the beginning. So I went to high school for 2 years, and I had to finish all my ESL classes just to I knew that I want to go to college. So for me, I knew that I only have 5 years of, that English training to be able to pass my, there was a specific test that we have to take to be accepted into college. So I took extra classes in, community colleges. And I, like after first year, my English professor, my ESL professor, he liked me so much that he let me teach his beginning classes, when I was on my lunch break. So I was going there I just grabbed anything that I could just to practice, because I knew that I have to kind of, grab it before I, start applying to colleges. And that's what happened. I went and I applied to one of the best university in Chicago and one of the most expensive one as well. I got a lot of scholarships at the beginning for good grades. However, after a year, they take everything away from you. So I'm like, it's great. I wanted to, pursue my medicine field, but then I'm thinking, with my English, I'm not feeling it yet, because medicine books have like 1/3 is Greek, 1/3 is Latin, and 1/3 is English. I don't know any of them that well, So I'm like, I'm not going into medicine. I mean, that was something that I always, was thinking about and I was dreaming about, but then I'm like, this is too much. So I changed universities just to be able to pay for it with, loans and everything. And then I finished accounting. And I finished, college. I was working for 10 years in accounting, and I said, this is it. I can't take it anymore. This is not more my personality, where I have to sit for 12, 14 hours a day straight. This is not me. I'm not gonna have, a romance with my computer for, the entire week. This is too much,
So I came from an immigrant background too. My family are immigrants, so I get exactly what you're saying. In terms of, when we get out there, we have to not only have to figure out ourselves, right? And where we stand in a society in America, we always have to compete with other native people that live here. And so did it actually makes you feel like, were there a point in time in your life where you feel kind of like isolated, or like basically you feel down and not confident about yourself because you can't speak the language, and then if you were to go look for a job, did you have any struggles with that?
You know what? Totally. However, when I was in college, I have to work to support myself. I mean, I had my dad and my mom with us, so they were constantly working, double jobs just to support us. But at the same time, it wasn't enough, so I had to go and make some money to pay for school, for my, stuff that I wanted. Just, all of a sudden, I had a, taste for, and I know that I knew that I couldn't ask for extra money from them because they've been already working hard without any language either. So I think at the beginning, I definitely we were never, I think, part of the American kind of, group of people, because there was no communication or as fluent as you would like to. However, being raised in Chicago, there were a lot of Polish people, and there were like groups of people that connected because they were the same position as I was, so we just created our own kind of groups.
Mhm.
But also at the same time, when you work, you don't have time to think about those silly things. You have things to take care of. So I felt a little isolated, but on the other hand, I couldn't kind of, like,
You don't have time to
I
just
couldn't deal
decide.
with it. And besides, to be honest with you, and I was always like this. Even when I couldn't speak English, I was just blah 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 blah. If you understand me, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay too. And that's how I learned, quickly. So, like, versus my sister, she would have to like really be 200% sure that her structure of the sentence is correctly, and then she would speak it out. Where me, it was just like, and then people would correct me. If you came across the right people, that you would, end up to hang on with, then they would teach you, and they would, they would correct you. So, that's what it was.
So why did your family decide to move to the US?
Well, that was a surprise that my mom kind of created for all of us. We used to live by neighbors whose father was who lived in America. I think he lived in New York. So we were really close, and my mom, without saying anything to us kids, or neither my dad, she asked for a lottery papers. So at that time, 30 years ago, the US created like a lottery kind of, opportunity for people. So if you apply for a lottery where you would just, fulfill specific requirements that they had, then they would grant you a green card, and they would allow you to come to the States and have, obviously permission to work and to live. So that's what my mom did. She asked that lady for the papers. Excuse me, she filled it out without saying anything. And then all of a sudden, my dad comes back from work, and he opens the envelope, and there's saying that we're going to America. And he's like, what is this? And then my mom spelled it out that, that's what she did. And so at that time, when it was beginning, I came in 94. So it was kind of, after the communism, where it was still kind of hard with the job market and everything. So our parents decided to just give us the better opportunity and brought us here.
Oh, I came here in 1990. Same reason as my parents wanted us to have a better opportunity, because everyone knows that America is the land of opportunities.
Right.
Here in the US, it's the only country that you can make so much money being a skateboarder.
Right. Exactly.
Right. You can make millions of dollars just riding your bikes.
Right.
Yeah. Things like that I don't think any other country would be able to provide. But in the US, it's kind of like country where you can do anything you put your dreams into doing, you work,
Right.
your desire is strong enough, there will be opportunities available for you to do that.
Right.
And that's what our parents did. They saw an opportunity to come to a different country to start over just for us. And then but then I'm pretty sure that you growing up, seeing how your parents work so hard and not being able to be around you, I'm pretty sure they weren't around as much, right?
I mean, for the second job that they had, we were going with them, So,
Exactly. And you didn't have an actual teenage life.
not really. Not really.
Same with me. And so when we become parents, our goal is, I'm pretty sure your goal is the same as mine, is that we want to work less so we can spend more
Right.
time with our kids. And hence that's why we're here, because we found an opportunity that provides us all that, be able to make a living, make an additional income, but also do it while we're with our kids, not while our kids are in daycare, or not
Right.
while our kids are in school, but we can do it right next to them.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this business.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
how so when I know you probably saw this business through an ad, and that's when it kind of clicked in your mind that this is something you wanted to look into. So walk me through the thought process of when you saw the ad. What caused you to, we call it the leap of faith, right? What caused you to take action to be here today?
Okay. So that I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks. Okay. So I've been on YouTube and constantly listening to it over and over again, because I was in that phase where I was not looking like, physically looking on the internet to find, some digital job, because I've never thought about it that I would actually ever, done it, especially that my technology skills are so limited now when, after, being an accountant for 10 years, I quit it after having my first child. I quit that and I said, I'm not going back. And I wanted to pursue my, dream job, which was in medicine. And I was always the person who wanted to help other people. So I said, okay, this is the time that I can do it. So I finished my nursing school and I was already working. And that, we don't have anybody here. It's only me and my husband. So nursing was a perfect job for me, because as everybody knows, you nursing, you can do morning, day, night, evening, whenever, because there's always need for, for nurses, and always an opportunity for you to make money. However, having, little kids, and me and my husband, we were attending the kids, but us, it was just like, we would call it telephone, marriage, where we were kind of, I'm out because I was working nights, and he was coming in from work just to switch on, in the door saying hello, goodbye. And then I have to go to work, and he was coming back and taking care of the kids. And I said, I realized we don't see each other anymore. Like, we are totally a phone marriage, and a phony marriage at the same time, because we don't know each other anymore. Like, how it is, busy with the kids in general, but on top of working all the time. And then me coming back from the night shift, it was just, oh my God. So I was on YouTube constantly listening, because I went through transformation, my spiritual transformation. And I'm like, there has to be a better way of finding and like dealing with that situation. And in between my, my short, 20 or whatever the length of the, Abraham's videos are, I got a Jolie's commercial, like the ad that she posted. And she's like, I'm a mom with 4 kids, and I would, and I am in this business, and I'm a single mom. I'm like, she can do that, then I can do that too. And I said, I've never looked into those kind of, opportunities, never look into those, ads, but I just have that feeling that this is it. So I showed it to my husband and I said, what do you think? I mean, you're my husband, so I have to tell you what I'm doing, like, what do you think? And he's like, you feeling it? Then just let's get into it and let's just pay whatever the entrance money and let's see what it is.
Right.
And that's what we did.
I think, see, that's another beauty of this business is that we would find people that live a very similar life to us, but in a different part of the world.
Right.
Because what you said, my husband and I, we were having kids, and then I decided to stay at home, to be a stay-at-home mom. I left my career because I knew that if we both work, we would not be able to see each other. We'll be so busy with work and our kids, and it's gonna eventually take a toll on our relationship because kids come first and our relationship will come after, right? And so I didn't want that to happen. So we said, we're gonna have to be one person working only. And I think that's a great idea for us. But then the living expense continues to increase. So of course, in California, one income will not cut it. We're living our life perfectly fine. But if we want more than just that perfectly good life, then we have to have another income, right?
Extra.
And so I told my husband the same way, and he said, yeah, if you feel it, just go for it. And I'm grateful that the husbands are supportive, because like you were saying, how you and your husband, you guys just crossed paths that one moment and you won't be able to see each other. During the pandemic, a lot of couple divorced because why? My friend who's a lawyer said that it's because throughout their whole marriage, they barely see each other. And they became distant and they didn't have the common ground anymore. And kids were in the way. And now that they had to stay home, they realized there's so much things that they don't know about each other. And there's so much things that they are tick off so easily from each other's flaws that they couldn't stand to be in the same room, that they even had to have a divider between during the COVID time. And it's so sad to see that happen. Right.
I believe that. And I think, a lot of people, especially with the big families, like, you have twins, so it's twice as much work at the same time. And I have this four of my kids, and it's just, there's always that time for the marriage is always, maybe we'll do it tomorrow, because the kids, they ran downstairs and they called me because mommy, I can't sleep without you, so I'm going, and there's another night, that we never spent together. So, I think for the 2 years before the pandemic started, we decided with my husband that once a year we're gonna do a vacation, just two of us alone. Because that's the only time where we can reconnect, and you have to do it, so, and we've been talking, with my husband, like, oh my God, it would be so great if we would actually have a business online and just be able to wake up in the morning, do the work, and then take care, like enjoy that family, that's why you have them, right? That's why you have those kids, with not send them to daycare or to as we said, to other places, or hire a nanny who would raise them for you. Like, what's the point?
And you would have a disconnection between you and your kids. The first 5 years is so important. And if you're gonna just, I know not everyone has the privilege to be able to be home, right? But that's why this business is so great, is that this gives you that privilege to be able to have that choice. Absolutely. Yes, this is definitely not a rich, quick scheme kind of business where you would make money within it. You're gonna have to build it, but you build it with your family in mind. And so if I actually calculated that if I go back to work and put my kids through daycare, it's going to be actually more expensive by putting both of them through daycare
Yeah.
than and then being home, you know.
But you know what, Gwen, I always tell people, I have 4 kids. Everybody has, let's say, 2 activities per week. Okay. Who is gonna take care of them, drive them back and forth, 4 kids all day and, like all afternoon long? I wouldn't be able to make that money at work to pay that person that much money.
Exactly. My mom actually did. She drove to pick me up, take me to tutoring, and she was so tired. That's another thing, is that when you are so tired yourself, you're
Mhm.
going to put it onto your kids. So you're
Yeah.
gonna throw tantrum at them. You're gonna be
Oh,
unhappy when you get home, and you're just gonna
yeah.
blow up meals. And that's what you don't want, because your kids gonna grow up remembering those moments for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
I'm a
Exactly.
prime example, because I remember
Oh,
those moments my mom would yell at me because she was so stressed. And I don't
mhm.
want that to happen to my kids at all. Even though we mend our relationship, but still it's always going to be in the back of my mind that that's what happened. And I don't want that to happen. And so now that you started this business just a few months ago, but what have you learned so far from this business that, like, you can share with everyone, um the skills? What is it that you've learned so far?
You know what? The most important thing that I've learned, and I'm learning all the time, is the technology. Because since I quit my accounting job, that I was in the technology mode and technology world. I went back. It's not that I stopped learning, because I was learning, but something totally different. How the body is, procreated, and how is it made of, and what happens if you do this or the other thing. But um, as a nurse, you only have one program that you get, good at, and this is it. You don't do anything else. And with this business, is like going back to the basic of technology, and I'm a totally like newbie in it. So for me, like at the same time, you're getting so kind of uh how you say that how can you say that, kind of like comfortable. I always say, I don't have time because I have to take care of the kids. You go and do this and this and this on the computer, or fix it for the kids, because I don't have time to deal with it. So now with that business, it's just forcing me to sit down and just learn it from the beginning, because technology is going so quickly,
Yes, it is.
with that like innovation, that is like, I don't know how to. I hated Facebook. I don't know how to use Facebook. I don't know how to send messages on it, or like do a Zoom meeting. so so this thing is extremely um not painful, but putting me on my toes. So, but at the same time, I kind of find, a pleasure in it, because I feel like I'm improving, I'm finally
Mhm.
coming out of the shell, where before I was kind of like hiding it away from it and just trying not to have anything to do with it. But now I'm like, this is it. Besides, Abraham says, don't take advantage of your kids to do something with the technology. You learn it yourself. So this is the time when I feel like, okay, time came for me, and I have to do it. Another thing is that, like with all those new business, entrepreneurship, your own businesses, you have to be really creative with everything. So this is kind of putting you on the spot constantly. You have to think about, how to I don't know, simple, how to make a coffee, what's in it, how to make it beautiful, how to make it,
It
nice
has
smelly.
creativity, right? It really, really sets you apart from your normal life routine.
Yeah,
Because you're doing
yeah.
something that you don't think you're good at, but then you realize, wait, it all just takes a little bit more learning than usual, and you
Hmm.
can do it. Within the technology nowadays, you don't really have to. Everything is so just a touch of a button, really, a
Hmm.
click, and it gets you what you want. So it's not like back in the days where everything is just by manual, right?
Hmm.
Everything's automatic, everything's set for you. You don't have to do anything hard labor. So why not learn something new? You never know, your kids are growing up. Your kids are young, my kids are young. I know for sure in the next 10 years, there's gonna be something different. And if I don't get myself up into, like you said, up into the technology, and have some sort of knowledge. I would
Right.
not be able to help my kids when they're in that state moment in their high school, let's say. If we learn something new, they will come to me first for questions. If I don't know how to
Right.
help them, they're gonna come to someone else, and I'm gonna lose that moment with them, because that's
Yeah.
at the teenage life, you want every minute with your kids, because they're gonna
Right.
grow up to go to college and leave you. So whatever you can do, right? And
Yeah.
the skills that you learn, I've learned as well. So and that's what we all learn, the same skills, and we're all sharing with each other.
Mhm.
So we all
You know
use.
what?
Mm,
One more thing that I want to mention, what I felt, different. And it's different, I think, depending on what you're doing, because as a accountant, you kind of cover whatever you're responsible for, and you feel the pride, that you can do it, and then, you know what to do. The same with nursing, especially when I was, working in an operating room. You have to be responsible and take charge of whatever is going on in your room. With that, business is just empowering you in a different way. It's just kind of like, overall, you can do so many things that you didn't do before at all, because of different circumstances or
mm.
different things that you were doing. So this is kind of like, it really lifts me up, to be honest with you, and I'm really liking it.
Hey, I'm glad you're like Anne, and we all do love it. And that's why we would love to share with everybody what we're learning, what we are experiencing, and what we can do to help you get that ideal life that you're looking for. And I'm sure for us immigrants, we work so hard because we want to have their life for ourselves and our kids. That's why we're in this country. And whatever opportunities come to us, we're just going to grab it and we're going to run with it. And so if you are watching this and you have been feeling like you need to make a change, like both of us did, and you have the feeling that you want something better, then give yourself the chance to look for that and to experience it. So you can always reach out to me, or reach out to, let me pronounce your name.
Eva.
Yes,
Eva.
I got it. To Ewa, and then she can answer you. I'm pretty sure something in her story would resonate with you. And that's how we work. We attract people with our stories. And if you resonate with us, then we can work together. We're definitely open to work with different people or wherever you are in the world. We're here to help you, answer, and guide you. Any last words for our viewers tonight?
You know what? The only thing that comes into my mind is, especially for those people who are immigrants or those people who like to move around, it's an incredible, business that you just pack it, put it under your, armpit, your laptop, and you go. You don't have to worry about, booking your vacation like I did for my back in nursing, nursing job. You just totally independent, and you know that you're not missing anything while you're on vacation. Of course, you can take your days off, but at the same time you can still work when you have a couple minutes available. So this is amazing, because now it's only my husband who has to struggle to get his time off, where I'm like, honey, whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Exactly. That's the beauty of this, is that only one person had to figure out the schedule to go on vacation, when before
Yeah.
it's like, it's gonna work. Before it's our kids and then the husband and then the wife. That's three different
Right.
schedules you have to work.
Yeah.
Now it's only the kids and your husband.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone so much for tuning into tonight. I
Thank
hope
you.
that our story resonate with you and somehow inspire you to do something different for your life, maybe to take that leap of faith. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me or Ewa.
You're good. You're good. You're doing awesome.
I know, I was so nervous and I'm pronouncing people's names sometimes. And I'm pretty sure they're nervous when they see my Vietnamese names, which I totally understand. But thank you so much and have a wonderful night. I hope to see you all next time on my interview on Gwen Marketing. And good night.
Good night.